Hi, my name is Rachel, and this is my lesson plan on 6th grade social studies. The Common Core standards that I'm going to use are C.1.6.3. Here they will compare the structure of government and functions of civilizations in different times and places. What are your objectives for student learning for this lesson? The student will be able to explain the locations, places, and regions and the importance of major landmarks. They will also explain and how to use a map. Students will be able to explain why they are important, and they will write about all of these and show the importance about them on the maps and the different places they put into the map. They will take the learnings and materials from chapters 3 and 4 of our book and the class discussion that we do as a group, and they will create their own maps, and then they will have a reflection paper as well. Why have you chosen these objectives? I feel that learning these important landmarks, places, and historical events, and being able to place them on a map and have it a hands-on assignment to go along with their reading and lecture is very important. This is also a part of their Common Core state standards for this grade and class. Student grouping is the second section. How will I group students for instruction? I will begin the lesson with a lecture on chapters after the class was assigned to read prior to the class starting. They are to write down any questions they had or concerns, and we will address them at the time of the lecture. After the readings and lecture, the students will be able to research materials in class. They can use the library or books to create their maps and reflection papers. Here, I will evaluate the students' understanding of the lessons from the papers and design an implementation of the maps and the materials they use and how they use them. Why have I chosen this grouping? I have chosen this method because it will help the students touch on lecture, reading, and hands-on work. It will be a group discussion, and they will take what they learn, research, and understand and place them on a map and then into a paper. This helps the students get through the group discussions, and it can help them understand parts of the topic they might not have understood before. They will also be able to show what they have learned by their assignment on their own, and I can assess them in their knowledge of maps, writing, and their actual materials. The third section is methods and instructional strategies. What teaching method or methods will I use for this lesson? The methods that I have chosen to teach in this lesson, they're modeling, lecture, and group discussion, brainstorming, and then they will report back with their independent activity that I have assigned to each of them. I will help to model the ideas, strategies, and expectations they might have prior to the assignment and after the group lecture. The instructional strategies that I will use are cooperative learning, setting objectives, and teacher peer feedback during the process. Why have I chosen these methods? I feel this method is the best for them to learn and think about the materials. I have asked them to learn and cover what I've asked them to learn and cover in this assignment. The class discussion and lecture will help them to learn more, and they will learn and hear from their peers. This is the best way I can deliver the material to the students, and I feel they will work and retain the information better this way. After reading the group lecture, they will have their own individual assignments, and this will help them to show what they know and what they understand and put it in their own project. This will help me give them an overall assessment and evaluation on what they know and if they fully understand it. Having their own class discussion and hands-on projects will help them to learn different types of learning styles, and I can see where each student excels and where each student needs to work in that area and help them learn to the best of their abilities. Section 4 is activities. What activities have I planned? Lectures on chapter 3 and 4 and the history behind the maps is, the major part, what we're going to learn. This is for introducing new information, and the use of the PowerPoint will be used to help them grasp it visually as well. Here we're going to review what they have currently been learning in different ways so I can reach all of my students' learning styles. We will use technology to show videos about histories, maps, different video clips from our lessons, and the use of interactive maps. We're also going to have the students share discussions from their small groups that they have learned about the lessons, how they think the maps will work with their assignments, and how they will recap this in their papers. This will help them and lead them in order to be able to extend their learning and their knowledge in this area. I will also demonstrate for the students, whenever possible, what I expect and the different ideas they can use to help them on their ideas. For a guided practice, I will state and write down what I expect each of them to do individually in small groups and what I would like to hear from them during the lecture. I want this to be interactive. I will ask questions, and they can work with their peers to help answer and become more involved in the lecture. And the small groups, and each of the groups will present what they have learned. Students will be grouped by how they learn. I want each learning style represented in each group so that all students can learn from one another. This allows for differentiation in your lesson, and it touches on most aspects of learning and hits each guideline that is needed here. It is an opportunity for all of my students to practice and work toward meeting the learning objectives with their peers and the teacher. The small group learning is cooperative learning, and it has a high probability strategy. Along with this, in the group lecture, it's going to help engage the students, and they can not only improve their learning skills, they can also help with work on their social skills. They will take what they learn in the group lecture in the small groups, and they're going to use it to work individually. They're going to learn how to incorporate all of this into an individual assignment. Independent practice. This is not a partner group activity for the final project, although it does follow a group activity. The students are going to take what they learn in the group activity and the group lecture in their small groups, and they're going to use that to produce their individual finished products, which is their maps and their reflection paper. This is going to help the teacher to see where each student is, what they know, and what they do not know, and what they need to learn more on and touch base with. This is going to help me see where I need to work with each student as well and get them to where they need to be. This is a guided practice lesson. The homework's going to be given once each student fully understands the material we cover in the lecture on chapters 3 and 4 and what they cover in their small groups, and they're going to report back to me so I can know they do fully understand the expectations and materials before they complete their individual assignments. And once they know this and they're ready to go on their individual assignments, it should only take about an hour at home for their homework. And we'll go over what we learned today just to make sure that they do understand it. And I'd like to have each student give just a brief, explanation to me or the class of what they have learned on and what they plan to do so we can ensure that they do know. The PowerPoint material is going to be available to students as resources if needed. They can get them online. They'll be printed out and handed out, and each student can take them home. I'm going to use a formative assessment so that I can see how the students' results fully show what they have learned and how they can incorporate it. Once all of the assignments are complete and turned in, students will have a movie class period as a reward. What activities have I planned? The formative assessment is used during this assignment. The group work, group lecture, and individual assignments will help me see if each student fully understands the materials and how to incorporate it into their paper and map. And working with their peers, they can discuss it with one another, and everything they have learned through the whole assignment, the lecture, the group lecture, they can process it into their own individual assignment. I have chosen these activities because it touches on everything, your lectures, your group work, and your individual assignments. It's going to reach all of our students. This assignment will reach the different learning types, and I want to reach all my students, which is really important. You never want to leave any of your students out. They're going to learn from each other during the group lecture, and that is when they can use what they have learned to help further understand in their groups they break into. Sometimes you can learn more from your peers than you can just listening, sitting there. So it's good interaction to involve everybody in those small groups, even the teacher as well. Each section of this assignment will help them to be able to complete their individual assignments, which will show what they have learned overall, how they understand it, and if they do not understand the material. Materials and resources. The instructional materials that I'd like to use, we're going to be using the book, A Journey Across Time, and this is where the chapters 3 and 4 are coming from. We're going to use a PowerPoint, a computer, and a projector. We'll have chart paper for each group, markers and pencils. We'll have computers for typing the papers. If the student does not have one at home, we will make sure they have access to this so they can complete their assignment. And then for the maps, markers, stickers, different maps, to choose from, glue, materials like that to make it fun. I have chosen these materials because they are a great way to facilitate student learning, group learning, and understanding toward our end goal in meeting the objective. The computer and projector will be used to show the PowerPoint on a blank wall. The computers will be used for typing the papers at home or in the class. The markers, stickers, maps, and glue will be used for creating a fun and informative map. The chart paper is for the groups to write down any ideas that they have when they share it with the class. Evaluations. How and when do you plan to evaluate student learning on the content of this lesson? At the end of the lesson, I plan to evaluate the students on what they have learned based on how they interact in their groups, how the lecture, their small groups, and how they incorporated all of that information into their maps and their reflection paper. This will help me better understand and assess the students' understanding as well as the students assessing their and understanding themselves. I will be using the formative assessment during the entire lesson plan. I feel this is the best assessment to use for the lesson plan, for the lesson and my students. This will help me to see where the students' comprehension is, how they can organize their own thoughts, and how they can engage in the lesson and the classwork. Why have I chosen this approach for evaluation? I have chosen this approach for evaluation because I feel that this will help me to determine what my students have learned, how they retained and understood the material, and how they use higher thinking in order to reach their final assignment. This will also show their knowledge to write a reflection paper as well as their ability to map the materials in class correctly. This will help me better assess each student and how they learn and what they have learned during this assignment. Thank you for your time and listening to me and my lesson plan. I appreciate any feedback. Have a great day.